Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday, July the 14th, 2025, and we will call to order our budget workshop, our workshop session. We already have a budget workshop this afternoon. So at this time, we will have a presentation from Mr. Paul Wilburn from the WCID. If you'll come forward.
Thank you. Robert Cronin is our current president, and he's going to make the presentation. I'll be here to answer questions and argue with him all y'all want.
I'd like to introduce, though, before we get started, we have three other members of the board here. We have Jason Jones, and Paul Wilburn, and John Walker. They're some of our members of this board. It's not just mere Paul. Some things I really want to go over from a high level, just a brief understanding and some things about these dams. And if you would put that first picture, you said push on the side. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to start with this, and this is actually the Lampasas River watershed on the screen right now. You see the yellow triangle area there. That is the Sulphur Creek watershed. And this very next shows that triangle area, and then green here are the 9 dams that are actually called flood retarding structures in the upper Sulphur Creek watershed. They have flood pool capacity of 26,171 acre feet of water, which is a considerable amount of water. It's actually almost twice what the city of Lampasas uses in a year. The entire water they use, that they can actually retard. And the next screen will show the basic design of one of these flood retarding structures. You see, I'll click one more time, the sediment storage area. On the initial design of these, there is a design area that is designed for any runoff stuff like dirt, debris that gets in there. It can be there. That's not considered part of the active flood pool. So when you see these actually holding water and nothing's coming out of the primary spillway, the backside of these dams, it's actually holding the fishing pond, like the number 1 on Nash Place on 580 will actually hold water year round pretty well. That's in the sediment storage area. So luckily they got a fishing pond out of the deal. It never has filled up in 60 plus years. That area that was designed to have additional capacity, they got additional capacity to hold water. Now, the very next slide will show the flood storage pool. And it goes from the primary inlet, which is the pipe that goes through the dam that will draw this down, the flood pool, over a 10-day period to keep the stuff from going. The whole design of these dams is to capture a 10-inch rainfall from their watershed area and hold it in that flood storage area and retard the release of it, hold it for, meter it out over a 10-day period. So the whole goal is to keep the flow in the channel of the creek. That's the whole goal. And during this recent spell, they more than adequately did that. We did not, for all of them that we checked, get over 50% full of the flood area of these dams. So we reached about half capacity of what they can protect the town from. So that was good. And they have adequately done this for over 60 years. So as Paul was telling me earlier, we've been a victim of our own success. We've kept the town from flooding as it very likely could have done this past 2 weeks here. Because if they had released the water they were holding back and let it come on down the channel as it wanted to willy-nilly, it would have possibly flooded the square again. But on average, history told us it flooded every 10 years. And it'd be tremendous damage and everything else. And we can also see what happens where that is not restrained by flood retarding structures, by what happened on the Lampasas River, of the stuff that fell up Adamsville area, all that was coming down, nothing to hold it back. So Kemper got a pretty good load. What we put in it plus what they were putting in. And the very next one shows the top of the embankment, of course, is a dam. So see, it is higher than what they even considered when they did the engineering on these dams, they tried to shoot for having an earthen embankment there that was higher than any possible flood event that could come. So the Sulphur Creek flood has caused 11 deaths since history's been recorded. 6 of them were in 1873 and 5 happened from the Mother's Day flood in 1957. And some of the operation and maintenance things that we have done, and I'm going to show one here, is, I'm going to talk about, we poisoned mosquito number 1 dam, which is the Nash Dam on 580. And we also did it on the one, it had a tremendous amount of mosquito in it, number 9 at the cemetery, that is also a flood control dam. And we refiled the notice of inundations, which is the easements for these flood pool areas. And what that is, the flood pool on these is the easements that were given by the landowners back in the day at no charge to the city, that are there for perpetuity for protecting these structures and allow us to do work in the area, or the top of the foot, the top of the auxiliary spillway crest, and in some instances 4 foot above that. The contour around that is what the easements are in the flood pool area. So that's upstream of that, the water that it would back up in a flood event. So it was engineered for it. But you look at this drone here, that's our first attempt to do a drone spraying of the brush on the dam. If you look at it on the screen, notice how well that stuff stays in place. And using the herbicides that we have to use to do that, those have to be certified safe around aquatic, because we do it on the water side also. This is on the back side, but because it's in the channel, it still falls under the right thing to do to use that. Those cost considerably more than the normal ones. I know whenever there was $1,500 to do all the different. Yeah, I did. This slide right here shows the path that the drone took, all the different routes that he did when he sprayed that. That's off his flight plan for that drone. Pretty interesting tool. Agritech has that. This was their first attempt to do one of these and our first shot at it. We were going to see how to burn the brush down. This is 12 days after spraying. It's kind of hard to tell in this picture because it's kind of small, but it was burning the brush, and that was our goal, especially in that rock riverfront where you can't hardly walk at all without breaking the knee to get that sprayed. And the rocks where they're showing there was the stuff that was easy to spray that the landowner had sprayed for several years. But you could tell some of the brush that was affected within just 12 days. And this backside, you can even see more of how it was burning the briars and things, so it's getting started on them. It'll be interesting to see how it progresses, because it takes on a lot of this brush, it'll take up to a year to show what it's doing. So giving it a shot there, it'll be a whole lot cheaper than doing that mechanically or any other way, if it will work. And this is something else I wanted to point out that we've done this year. And it's on this, we wrote a letter of opposition to Encore and LCRA regarding the proposed J1 power line route. We're talking about putting it here west of the city. It will actually go across the Tailwaters FRS 8, which is on Walker Lane. So they fired back they fired back a note saying that they didn't understand which map we were consulting, so I fired back and says, yeah, look on your LCRA map that you got, that is there. So, and also let them know another stipulation about the structures. The TCU requirement is that they can't have any dynamiting within a half mile of these dams. So, just so they know, just some of that rock out there is pretty hard around like dam number 4. Some other things that we did this year as operation and maintenance is when TCEQ did one of their inspections, they have to come down and do inspections on these dams, like the reliability and all. They did one on FRS4 in the dam place. And they said they heard a drip inside the primary drain pipe. So they get, and our CS has a robotic camera that can get out there, schedule it, get out. It's 330-foot long piece of pipe, and then this robot up, took pictures and made sure, and it was all still good. Concrete primary still on pipe, and that was in great shape. So there was no issue there. We also updated the emergency action plan. These emergency action plans are had by your incident coordinator here in the county. And police station had it, the sheriff department has another copy for each one of these dams as to how to respond, who responds, who's responsible for everything that goes on in an emergency situation. We had some new formatting we had to do, so we did the 6, which is the big dam on the highway property. Anyway, we got it complete following TCQ was not giving us full approval for it yet. It took them a year, and they finally got back to us. And we sent a reply back to all the issues that they thought. But anyway, also along with that, we also informed our co-sponsor, the Hill County Soil and Water Conservation District, about this J1 line, so that they would be on board with us. Because the last thing we want to do is cause a problem with any future work issues that we have in one of these dams, or they could have, that could affect them on that power line. We manually monitor FRS status during major rainfalls, either by communication with the landowners that have a view of the dam, or allow them manually look ourselves. It's not a fun thing to do during the storm. It's a necessary thing. Currently, items being worked on reformatting all EAPs to a new format to be better and easier to understand, because the way it was written on all these before, emergency action plans for all of these, each one of them had a bunch of the similar stuff. Probably 80% of it was repeat from what was in the others. So the way the cities that have done these without approval, we're trying to get that too, so we can put the site-specific stuff for each site and then the generic stuff in one portion, so that people reading this don't miss something when something happens. And we'll be attending an O&M workshop that's coming up. Several of us will understand better how to get state funding for doing. We have to do some matching funds on some of these. So that's one we appreciate getting, like the city has allowed us financially to have, allows us to do some of the things that we do. And we're just a bunch of folks here that volunteer everything to get this done. One of the new things that we're wanting to do, because so many people don't know about these dams because they do their job silently so well, is we want to get a website up and running. So we're looking at spending some bucks there to develop the website, get it up and running, and we'll be asking to get a link to the city website, county website. And we'll probably be looking at some others, trying to get it to where realtors are seeing this, people that are interested in coming to the area understand what these dams do and how well they've done their job for all these years. You know, great thing that we have that people have passed down to us, is the fact that, you know, when you look back at what these landowners gave away back there, giving these easements for no monetary value at all, and it's tied up in these, you gotta keep an eye on these. I'm trying to help make sure that we don't have people building downstream of these in potential inundation areas if something does happen. Or in water, in the flood pool area that's upstream. And that's the reason we've had those refiled, because those are 60-year-old easements. Sometimes when they're doing these searches, people find new property, they don't even know they're in their easement area. And it does limit what you can do. And we are actively working on refiling an application for the grading of FRS 6, which is one of the major ones. It has two others. If something happens on them, they will flow into the big island. But we want to start with that one because we figured it was most critical to get it done first. Rehab and upgrade of these. I think only 3 of these were originally designated as high hazard dams because of the potential loss of life and or the economic damage back in the 50s. And now they've been reclassified by TCEQ as all 9 of them are high hazard, which means the structure has to be a little more hardened and some other things. So most of that funding will come out of state funding. And I have a feeling, as we all do too, that will be a big emphasis. So we're going to try and be able to get those monies become available. Have an application in the system ready to go. Get some of this money to do these hardening structures up to the oil. Where they hadn't failed in over 60 years. There's only been one instance that Paul could remember where they've gone around the emergency spillway and had some damage to us, just some dirt damage and how they repaired. And all the time he's been with the board. So hopefully we don't have any of that. Anyway, that's pretty much the main thing. I want to thank y'all for what you've done for us. And also, one of the main things that we're trying to define is the necessary requirements for securing the state funding and federal funding and stay abreast of all that. And we know the successful groups that have done this, they have, whether they use hired guns or they have somebody on the payroll that's watching this stuff pretty much. Keep us abreast of it. Keep us in the queue to get this done. Because filling out these things and knowing when to do and what to do to get that money ain't the easiest thing in the world. I bet you all know. And this, you're talking major dollars for engineering to redo one of these things so well did. That's not common. It's such. It's a lot. So, I want to thank y'all.
Thank you. Robert, any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
And those things I handed out. Yeah.
I did have just a quick question. Burleson Creek, this last couple of weeks with flooding and all, your structure held upstream?
The structure on Burleson Creek has not even been half full.
Half full?
It hadn't even been half full. I've been staying in the trucks with the landowner there, and he said a lot more room before it even gets to the emergency spillway. So everything that came out of the Burleson Creek Dam was coming out of the main water. So it was keeping it in the channel. But anything else that runs into Burleson, they have no control over it. Yeah.
Thank you for guys for keeping our little town here safe for all these years. Thank you. Next up is discussion and presentation from Kim Winkler. from HCCAC.
Hello, and thank you for having us today. I'm actually not Kim Winkler. My name is Erica Melton. I'm here with Kim Winkler. I'm actually the Education and Outreach Coordinator at the Lampasas Children's Advocacy Center. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, for ability for us to speak with you today. We're truly grateful for the continued and unwavering support from Lampasas County and the City of Lampasas. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with our organization, the Lampasas Children's Advocacy Center is a place of hope, healing, and justice for children and families affected by abuse. In addition to supporting victims and their families, we are committed to raising awareness and providing education on child abuse prevention throughout our community. So just wanted to give you some updates of the things that have been going on in the last year. So one of the big ones that we had this year is we had a great growth in the amount of children, youth, and adults that we were able to educate. We had a 1,700 additional increase from 23 to 24. We don't have our numbers for 25 yet. But in Lampasas, we have the ability to go to all of the elementary schools. That's a regular. We do that every single year. But this past school year, we had the opportunity to get into the middle school, which was great. So I was able to teach healthy relationships, sexting and cyberbullying, and then teaching kids what the signs are for an adult abusing their power and grooming a child. So I was able to really get in touch and really talk to our kids in the community and Lampasas in the middle school level, and I haven't been able to do that since I started working here in 2021. So it's great. I also had the opportunity to teach grad kids here in Lampasas at the Lampasas County Higher Education Center. This program empowers children and parents with a skill-based curriculum designed to build personal boundaries, enhance critical thinking skills, and strengthen confidence in themselves and their caregivers. A special thanks to Derek Barrios for generously providing classroom space for this program. We had 3 graduates this year, so it was awesome. We actually have some new renovations, new updates on our building. We have officially moved into our new building, which is right next door to our original building. It gives us the ability to have double the space, so now we're able to service or provide services for double the amount of children and clients. Our original building is currently undergoing renovations and will house our therapy offices. Right now, they are in a different space than us, and hopefully soon they'll be able to be moved over. And especially with these, we had a little bit of damage with the floods, so we kind of expedited the process. So we're really trying to get them in as quickly as possible. The goal for this is to create designated therapy, trauma-informed spaces for our clients while keeping all of our services on the same campus. Again, like I mentioned, our therapy offices sustained damage during last week's floods in Burnett, which accelerated our move-in process. While therapy appointments were delayed for a week, we are incredibly thankful to have had a new space ready for our therapists to transition into and resume their important work. We have some funding challenges, as I'm sure a lot of other agencies are going through. While we are blessed to have expanded our space and our growing impact on our community, our operational costs have also increased significantly. And then due to federal and state budget cuts, our VOCA, which is the Victims of Crime Act funding, was reduced by $14,000. And last year it was reduced $7,000 of a cut. So in light of these challenges, we are relying on the support of our city, county, and communities now more than ever to continue providing critical services to the children and families who need us. And on a closing note, our hope is that we can continue to educate and bring awareness to the reality of child abuse so that we can continue to fight for our kids. Our kids need someone. They need us to step in and be their advocate. Kids who have been victims of abuse often believe that abuse was their fault and they'll get in trouble if they tell anybody. And they have been threatened or maybe even manipulated to keep that secret and not tell anybody. And 73% of child abuse victims do not tell anyone about their abuse for at least a year. 45% of victims do not tell anyone for at least 5 years, and some never disclose. And so if we don't protect them, who will? It's the important piece. So thank you again for allowing me to speak with you today.
Any questions?
How many employees are in your center?
Right now, we have, I think we have 13 now. We just added a third therapist on, bilingual therapist.
And that covers how many counties?
That's our 5 counties, so Burnett, Blanco, San Saba, Lampasas, and Lano.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Of course.
Appreciate all your
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Discussion and presentation from Mr. Derek Arias. Speaker.
Mayor, Mr. Barrios isn't here this evening. He had, I believe, some flooding associated with his storm, so he's out of the market.
And the next one up is Keith Sled.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff. Hope y'all didn't have too much damage from the rain we've had over the last couple of weeks. Well, it's been kind of an adventure, unusual July for all of us. So, appreciate the opportunity to come here and give you a quick update on what we were doing in conjunction with what is now again Fort Hood. It was named by executive order, renamed by executive order for a different individual a week ago, and then the official ceremony will be on the 28th of July, 9 o'clock. Be open to the public if anybody wants to come over there to see. This is, you've probably seen some of this before. The biggest change on this is the economic impact of Fort Hood, based on the Texas Comptroller, is now $39 billion. It's a significant $10 billion jump from the last time that he did it. And it is still the largest single-site employer in the state of Texas. So it's even with all the changes that are going on in the Department of Defense, Department of the Army, that I'll talk about in just a second, we will expect Fort Hood will grow a few hundred more soldiers over the next couple of years as this goes forward. This just lists the items that we're working on. The biggest one at the top there is we will go after another Texas Defense grant that will put an energy resilience and storage system. It's going to put about a 3 megawatt battery over on Fort Hood. The solar farm that they have now, the contract that they have with the solar farm, if they don't use all the power, they pay a penalty for it. The battery will allow it to be stored and used at some other point. Or in peak demand periods, they can pull off the battery and reduce their actual consumption rates, especially during high cost hours. Should be a good project. Minge Energy is going to help with that. So, and a couple other ones you see they're already going on. We do have the State Highway 9 ramps. If you're familiar with where the rail is on Fort Hood. There'll be 2 ramps where you can leave I-14, get on State Highway 9 and get off to go to the rail. It'll move the truck entry point from where it currently is on Clark Road back over to the tank destroyer, and that'll reduce traffic. Because if you've been over there early in the morning, you'll see semi-trucks, buses, especially with schools and such, privately owned vehicles all in a big line of queue, trying to get in that gate, and it backs up over I-14, causes issues. If you have any questions about those, I'll be glad to talk about it. The Army Transformation Initiative, you probably have seen in the press over the last couple of months that they announced this back at the end of April. There's a lot of impacts Army-wide. The ones in green are the ones that will have some impact here at Fort Hood, and that's the ones I'll highlight for you. The Aviation Brigade will lose 1 squadron of Apaches, so about 18 helicopters, pardon me. That will go away. Over the long term, though, they will gain more positions as they bring in an unmanned aerial squadron to replace that. The interesting concept, this will be a lot smaller aircraft, a lot more of them just flying around over there. The 3rd Cavalry Regiment will go from what's called a striker vehicle, which if you've seen them, it's those 8-wheeled vehicles driving around. They will return to the old 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment. They will get tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, and self-propelled artillery systems again. So it's back to the future to a degree for them. When this is done, Fort Hood will be home to 4 armor brigades, more brigades than any other unit, any other installation in the U.S. We also have the highest number of E1, E4, so private specialist soldiers in the Army. Unmanned aerial systems and the counter unmanned aerial systems you see on there, and then the last one, the extended advanced manufacturing 3D printing. That will be good for the installation. It's going to bring in capabilities that you've all seen on the media coming out of the Russia and Ukraine war. Also presents sort of a business opportunity for a lot of the EDCs around the installation. A lot of these are going to be startup companies that are coming in, be looking for places that are relatively inexpensive to operate from, potentially opportunity for the EDCs to recruit businesses to come in here and locate long term. So maybe some opportunities for your EDC as well as the others to take advantage of that. If you can show them you got a good place to work and you got a workforce, and it's relatively cheaper than Austin, you can make a better pitch than going to Austin would be for some of these. If you have any questions about those, I'll be glad to answer them. There is some of these, there are no definitive plans. They have set a goal, like for example, the fielding of the unmanned ground systems and the air systems, they won't have it done by the end of 2026. They haven't even picked a system to do it, and there's no guarantee they're gonna pick one. They may pick 6 or 7 different systems in the field and see which one turns out to be the best. The Army budget, based on the President signing the bill on the 4th of July, they now have a budget for the last 3 months of FY26. It's interesting because it's been operating for 9 months. There were 2 motor pools originally in the National Defense Act. Based on how the budget went, only one of those is going to get funded, but it is a good thing. The 4 hood motor pools that they're operating now were built in the early 50s and 60s for a tank that was in the Air Service, 2 different models of them. You can't even get an M1 tank into one of the motor pools now, nor Bradley fighting. So this will actually bring 1 new motor pool. There's about 14 more that need to be done. At least it's a start. We'll see where we go from there. Interestingly, the Army in strength in FY25 was reduced. But if you look at that next budget where it shows FY26, we're going to grow the Army by almost 12,000 soldiers this next year. And it sounds like a big leap, but they're actually going to end FY25 over strength. So what these bigger growth is they need to do based on what's going on. If you remember a couple of years, last 2 years really, they've had struggle with recruiting. They will overcome that, and it is going to be, I think they've already hit the recruiting goal for FY20 for this year now. Anything that gets between now and September will be kind of on top of that. And they like to have some that's in the barrel or in the chamber potentially for coming in the next year. Again, you'll see a lot of new stuff that's being invested in. The unmanned aerial systems are related to that previous one I talked about as part of Army transformation. So, and these are not large ones, these are the smaller drones you've seen. You can buy at Walmart or some of these other vendors, they're low cost. Soldiers can potentially break them, fix them easily, and then fly them some more. They're going to field beaten loitering munitions. When I say that, think of a drone that has a weapon system mounted on it that just goes and flies somewhere and looks for something and sees it and will attack it. These are one-time use drones when you get those kind of things. They'll fly and they don't drop something and leave. They actually dive in and attack it. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well. It's a training environment for 4 men to deal with in the impact area. There is the potential that there'll be another year-long continuing resolution. Nobody wants that, but just on how the politics are in DC, that may happen again this year. In some ways, it's more flexible for the Department of the Army because there's constantly rules as an approved budget, but it also is less definitive. Imagine if the city was operating on we think we're going to spend this next year, but we don't really know until the last 3 months of the year. So it's not a good way to do business, but it may be the reality that comes from it. The National Training Center is in Porter, California, out in the desert. It's the size of the state of Rhode Island. It's the largest training area that the Army uses for the brigade combat teams. When one of the brigades from Fort Hood goes out there, we used to take a group of about 10 people out there to observe and see the training, and fly out one day, spend 1 day in the training area with the soldiers, and then come back the next 3rd day. If you know someone that's interested in going, if you let me know, you can email me and I'll add you to the invitation list when we go out. It's an opportunity to kind of see, it's the only place that all the brigade commander gets to play with all his toys at one time. And I say that, I mean, everything in the brigade, all the intelligence systems, all electronic warfare systems, all of the fire control and weapon systems. If he turns on electronic warfare systems on Fort Hood, then you have people start losing telephone business service, internet service, and other service. If they turn all the intelligence systems on, then you're collecting on U.S. citizens, and they can't do that because it's a violation of national law. So this is the one place that everything is going on. It's fully instrumented, and by that, you can go back and replay a battle, and you can see who shot who and when they shot them. And if one person shot multiple, had one tank that theoretically killed several other enemy vehicles, you can show which tank it was that did that. So it shows mistakes. It's the Army's version of laser tag. Every individual and every vehicle or weapon system has both a sensor on it to detect if it's been shot with a laser, and then a laser emitter that will replicate its own weapon. So an M16 will replicate an M16 round. It can't shoot a tank and cause a tank to be destroyed. Another tank can. It's just the way they're coded. It's 14 days for the soldiers actually getting box training. There's about another week and a half prior to that when they're deploying out there, and then there's another week of it afterwards. So they're gone for about 30 to 35 days. supposed to think they try to make it supposed to think of combat without killing anybody that you can get. So it's harder for them when they go to combat there, they've already sort of experienced it, also understand what they're shooting. Our next trip is in November, and there'll be another one after that in March. So, if you're interested to go, just let me know, I can email them, but that's.
We get the shoe stuff.
Sure.
We get the shoe stuff.
It varies. Sometimes they've gotten to shoot some weapon systems. It depends when we're going out there and what the unit's doing. Sometimes they haven't. Usually we'll get to fly, although I will tell you that when Glenn Hager, the comptroller, and Tom Buckingham went out a couple of years ago, there was a weather system came in. We didn't fly. They drove around in Humvees, and there was no doors on the Humvees. The helicopters left because they were expecting 60-knot winds. So, and this is all sand. So they drove around, like one of the individuals counted 260 miles we took around in the box that day in open door Humvees, and sandblasts. I still get ragged about it whenever I run into those two individuals. So it's a different opportunity. It's a huge area. I mean, you get out there and see it, you don't really understand how big the training area is. But it's going to be very interesting. One there you'll see what's called a Hades. And I can go through the acronym because you can read it. There's one squadron of aircraft at Fort Hood. It's an RC-12 aircraft. It's a turboprop. It's been in existence for probably 35 plus years in the Army. The Army is phasing those out and they're buying new ones and they're jets. It's made on the Embraer airframe. That's equipped with some intelligence systems behind it. The Army has right now 4 squadrons. One at Fort Eisenhower, now Fort Gordon again. One at Sumner Army Airfield and by near Fort Stewart, and one at Fort Bliss and one here. They made a decision to relocate them all to one location, and they will all come to Fort Hood. So that at in-state will be up to 16 aircraft located over to Fort Hood. About another 1,000 people long term come in over here. And there'll be about 1 battalion with those aircraft, 4 of them are almost always bombs around the world being deployed for some kind of operation. So it's a good thing for the installation because they'll kind of get, and a good thing for that unit to involve and consolidate in one location, so it makes it easier for the control management aircraft. So you makes it easier for to move in your area at some point. When that happens, you'll see it start happening early in 26, probably over to 27, as they do some of those changes. Fort Quasas Fast Facts, I got the information on Friday morning. Deployment ratio is down. It's one of the lowest we've seen in the last couple of years, 4.2%. That will increase in about 2 months when 1 brigade deploys. The good thing about having 4 brigades is you get a lot of people. The bad thing is we're almost tall as this deploys. And so that's a little further this fall. You can see the numbers have stayed fairly stable. The current assigned numbers, you notice it's red. That in the authorizations blue. We're below authorizations. We've been that way for 2+ years because of the recruiting issues, and so is the Army. We do think as the recruiting continues to maintain its current levels and stay successful, you'll see that creep back up closer to that authorized number. Previous to October of 22, we were always over the authorized number, usually about 5%. And that's the always keep operational units manned, so when they deploy, there's always a few people who are getting out of the Army or have some medical issues to do with you. You're still deployed full strength. I think we'll get back to that one day. You see some other information on there. The transition numbers for this last quarter was heavy in combat arms transition. That was primarily due to, we had 1st Cavalry Division headquarters, 1 brigade combat team, Division artillery, the sustainment brigade, and the aviation brigade all redeployed at the same time, or deployed at the same time initially a year ago. They redeployed close to the same time while the soldiers extended the old deployment. That's a 1 year per unit. And so you had a little higher percentage of when they came back and they transitioned out. So that's just one of the kind of things that happen when you do this kind of operation. That's all I've got. Except for the questions you have. We always appreciate the city's continued support for Fort Hood. Once again, Fort Hood. And Hotland as well. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good evening.
Yes, sir. Okay, 100 up here. In London. Here. All right. We'll move on to discussion regarding any items on the regular agenda. And there is none. workshop session?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. And we'll call our regular session to order. All rise.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we couldn't be more grateful to be in such a great place tonight. We appreciate the opportunity to come together in peace, discuss items, try to make some decisions for the betterment of our community and our visitors. We're grateful for the rains that we received last week. We appreciate the fact that our damage has been minimal, especially to life and property. We ask that you be with those that weren't so grateful. As always, we ask that you forgive us our sins, watch over us in safety. Do a good job tonight. And always in Jesus' name, amen.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
We have a couple of presentations here this evening. Swearing in a couple of new of our police officers. Justin Lampasas, did I say that right?
You did, sir.
And Caitlin Rodriguez.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm proud to introduce our two newest officers, Caitlin Rodriguez and Justin Lampasas, who just recently graduated the Central Texas Police Academy on June 27th. Both of these officers are a product of our cadet program, so this means it's both of their first police jobs. Right now, they're working through our field training program. All goes well, we hope to have them out on the road working by themselves beginning middle of October. Would you please join me in welcoming you both to the city of Lampasas, and I'm going to ask if Judge Riddell will come up and do a ceremonial swearing in them both. Can I get Megan and Adeline to join us?
All right, you two back up just a little bit. Y'all face me. Yeah, like that, that'd be good. And go ahead, okay, right next to him then. Let's say you with us, right over there. All right, raise your right hand, please. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Justin Lampasas,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of Lampasas, Texas Police Officer,
of the office of Lampasas, Texas Police Officer,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thanks, sir.
Great. And would y'all like to get the rest of your families up here? I know that this, we'd like to get a few pictures. Come here, young ladies. When you're ready, just want to come forward, please.
Just pause it, I guess. Here, we scoot to the left. You want to scoot to the left? Yes, we do.
Would y'all like to get in?
Right about this one.
Put her right in right in the middle. Everything is there. You're floating ahead there. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Thank you. I think your dog did.
Oh, you did? You were one that came to my house.
Yes, sir. I was.
Oh.
He was running around. I guess he was trying to hang out with the big dogs. The big dogs.
That's him. Most part.
Yes, sir.
Well. Take him home with you next time and bring him back. Congratulations. Well, good to have you on board.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Just start with the questions.
Just get stabbed once.
So, but I honestly, I was looking at my phone, I had no idea. It was easy.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for rock and roll on here. All right, we'll keep moving on here. It's always an honor to have new first responders and people that come alongside our citizens and service. And again, I say thank you. And we will go to our citizens' comment. Any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter not included on the agenda may do so at this time. The city council may not deliberate on items presented up underneath agenda item. And there is a 3-minute limit. And I don't see anybody. Okay, we'll go to citizen comment. Any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so at this time. And we have none. Public hearing to receive citizens' comment regarding to a request to rezone property legally described as lots 6 and 7, block 7, East Lampasas Edition, from commercial C to single-family resident, family 6, SF6, commonly known as 1112 East 4th Street, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This went to the Planning Commission last Thursday and passed with a 5-0 vote. Mr. Pickens has lived in this house several years. It was zoned commercial when we adopted our zoning ordinance for the first time. The 4th Street corridor is all commercial, and his house just happened to be listed in that corridor and has been commercial since then. At this point, he's wanting to refinance it, and his bank's giving him a hard time with the zoning. He needs to rezone it to residential. In addition to that, there's also the fact that if it were to burn down or be destroyed in a natural disaster, i.e. a flood, he would have to rebuild to commercial standards. It's not super feasible at this time. So he's asking for approval of this.
If something happened where this owner was no longer in this house, what would happen to the property as far as zoning?
The zoning will stay with the property. It's
So we'll go revert back to commercial.
No, it'll stay.
Stays a residential. Okay.
Any other questions?
That's good. Thank you. Discussion and possible action regarding the approval of minutes of regular meetings held on June 23rd, 2025, and special session held on July the 7th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, but I wasn't here on the 7th, so.
Second motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Abstain. Abstain. Aye. All right, we will go to consent agenda, discussion and possible action regarding the purchase and charges in excess of $4,000 for June 2025.
Approve by consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Boards and park reports?
Just right here for my operation.
Okay.
Mayor and council, as you're aware, the last week and a half has been very exciting, if nothing else with, regards to weather. Of course, we received substantial rains on the 4th of July that led to some flooding over that weekend. Right as crews were in the middle of, well, kicking off spring home week. So crews did a fantastic job. I'd like to give a giant shout out to the Parks Department, the Water Wastewater Department, Electric and Streets for helping to re-prepare the grounds for spring hoe last week. And I think for the most part, spring hoe went off without any major issues except for Saturday night's concert getting cut a little bit short when the next wave of storms came through. So there was significant flooding yesterday, although not as devastating here as other parts of the state have experienced. But there were several families evacuated, the apartments alongside the creek. So there are several individuals in town, and families in town that have been impacted by that. And we're still getting to date on that. There are no fatalities locally, no major injuries locally, so we're grateful for our volunteers, first responders, for making sure that everyone got out safely and efficiently during that time. I do have some damage reports, primarily relating to city properties, as a result, not of the first floods, but this second round that we experienced yesterday. The wastewater treatment plant did take some water on, and was flooded up to parts of the facility yesterday. No major damage. There's an older mower out there that's not functional any longer. There's a motor that we're going to have someone come take a look at. It's not operating properly, but it's not hampering any of the operations of the wastewater treatment plant. Parks there, the waters took down a section of fence by Hancock Pool. We do have temporary fencing up there. There's going to be a significant amount of debris removal that crews will need to tend to over the coming days. If you've driven by, there's quite a bit of damage at the Vivian Brook Park, where vendors were parked and tore ruts into the ground to try to get out there. So there's significant damage that parks crews will have to tend to make it look a little prettier out there, but we can certainly get that done. The golf course arguably got the worst of our damages. They have lost 2 greens out there. They're eroded. They're not playable at this time. There's 3-foot holes into the ground washed out towards the creek. They did lose the bridge, the wooden bridge on number 6, which is currently preventing play on holes 6 through 9. The pro shop flooded, and they will be evaluating the bridge on number 1. It looks like some of the riprap and some of the structural components of the bridge might have washed out during this last flood. So right now we're unsure on operations of the golf course. Chris is still evaluating, and Chris Morin's still evaluating out there and seeing what's going on. I know he indicated in a meeting with me today that in 2007 when it flooded and took the bridge out, then that section of Naruno Road was closed down so golfers could continue to play utilizing that rather than the bridge. I think we'll need to discuss that with council more. I know that poses some public safety concerns as far as fire department, police department responding to sections of town without having to route completely around. So we're still taking in damage out there, so we don't have all the solutions yet, but we will be working on getting the course up and running as fully as possible, as soon as possible. And we will keep you updated on any other damages received at city properties. Questions?
Thank you. Just a couple of comments, in lieu of what Ms. Cordell had talked about, and I wanted to, on behalf of the council and myself, thank our first responders that went down to the fire department, I believe it was yesterday, and was really overwhelmed to see. I think there was some Florida guys there that come up from Kerrville and just several guys around there. And I just, I thought, why would somebody come in here and risk their life for people that they don't really know? And I thought it was just the essence of service in general, where they would lay down their life. I talked to Chief yesterday morning, and I wanted to thank him tonight, and Charlie as well. They were out on the street throwing tires around at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and going on like a sleep. These guys just are amazing in directing traffic and things like that. I think that is the essence of the type of community that we have, and the commitment that all of our first responders, and it's not just our first responders. Wayne, you guys were out there keeping electricity on, and just the guys down at the wastewater treatment plant keeping things together. Just in the middle of a crisis, it's incredible how we come together, and I want to thank our community and especially our first responders for everything that they've done. And I know anybody else, if you have any comments, you want to say something?
I know with the Salvation Army, the fire department was greatly, the people that they helped were greatly impressed by the people that helped them through the waters, sometimes carrying them on their back, sometimes being rescued in boats, and the citizens really appreciated it. Thank you.
All right, we will go from there to new business. Discuss and consider the selection of winner of website photo contest entry.
Take a motion on entry 2.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second on entry 2. All in favor?
Aye.
And that is our winner. Discussion and possible action to declare unusable city-owned IT equipment as surplus and allow staff to dispose of as state law allows.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Staff is requesting approval to dispose of city-owned unusable IT equipment that was used at various departments. The equipment, there's a picture of it in your packet. I can go into specifics if you'd like, but, the equipment includes desktop PCs, monitors, switches, laptops, wireless access point, toner, battery backups, tablets, cell phones, cards, printers, and servers. IT equipment that staff is requesting to dispose of is either end of life, no longer supported, broken, or has been replaced. Staff has removed all the parts that could serve a purpose to the city off of the equipment. Serial numbers of the equipment to be disposed of will be kept for records retention, and additionally, all hard drives have been removed or wiped containing city data.
Make a motion to declare unusual IT equipment as surplus, allow staff to dispose of the state law allows.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Quick question,
Okay.
where does that come as far as surplus?
So in the past, we've done 3 different things. We've either donated it, we haven't done that recently, or we have, if it's worth value, we'll put it on gut deals and see what we can get out of it. If it's not worth anything and it's just broken, it has no purpose, we're not going to gain anything from it, then we'll get a recycling company to come out and dispose of it for a small fee.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to thank the IT staff and the staff of the city to go through all their old and unused, and instead of just putting it in the back corner and forgetting about it, we have staff that's on top of it. I think that's great.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Thank you. Discussion and possible action to approve the appointment of Teresa Fott and Judy Whitus to the Library Advisory Board.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This was brought by Shanda, our library director. She wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'm gonna bring it to you. This went to their library advisory board, and they recommended approval for Teresa Fott and Judy Whitus for their board vacancies.
Make a motion to approve the appointment of Teresa Fott or Judy Whitus to the library advisory board.
I said that.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor? 7.4, discussion and possible action to consider a motion to approve the closing of Southwestern Avenue from 2nd to 3rd Street from 8 a.m. Saturday, September the 20th, 2025 through noon Sunday, September 21st, 2025 for setup and breakdown cleanup, and to close the 200 through 300 block of East 2nd Street for through traffic during on Western Street fundraising event for Lampasas County Museum on Saturday, September 20th, 2025, 4 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.
Mayor and Council, thank you. And Steve Cook from the Lampasas County Museum is here if you have any questions, but I think this is our 3rd year we'll do this. It's a concert, it's a fundraiser for the museum. It's gone off without a hitch the last 2 years. We'll have 2 officers there. It's a neat deal. And we'll have plenty of cones and barricades. Our officers in position of patrol cars also as we further the front from traffic entering or exiting Western Street on both ends. And the only reason we're blocking 2nd Street during the hours of the concert is just for safety, because the band will back up. The backs will be facing north, and therefore that'll be facing 2nd, so it'll be a little safer and produce that time for you to do the concert there. I don't think it'll be a problem. 3rd Street will be open. It shouldn't affect Dodge at all. Pretty easy.
Make a motion to approve item 7. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank y'all.
Thank you. 7.5, discussion and consideration of possible action for approving proposal for mapping services from McCord Engineering Incorporated for mapping, data collection, and visual inspection service for underground electrical systems.
Mayor and council, the need exists to update the mapping of the city's electric system. LCRA assists with the system study of existing poles and overhead service, but they are unable to map the underground system as part of their project. And mapping of the underground system would make marking line locating significantly easier. It is estimated that using the methods of locating and marking lines could free up approximately 20 collection hours per week for electric improvement. Staff estimates that this mapping project will take approximately 3 weeks. The cost is estimated to be no more than $25,000. There is sufficient funding available in engineering and surveying services in the electric fund.
Let's get to the T. In June, we had 157 locates. In May, I had 145 locates. So I had one man, that's all he does all afternoon. So we're working towards possibly making a located position where somebody can do the water and wastewater and the electric. I had access maps to go off of right now. It's not what I have at some partial maps. So we need to get that updated.
So just updating all the maps internally, I guess.
All that underground. And it also put it on the file that you can open tablet on your smartphone. It would be a shape file for a regular map. It would also be a KMZ that you do off a device that is not as powerful to bring up a Google picture. Somebody who didn't recognize a remote or certain intelligence work and blow it up and look at it and say, what's up right here? That everybody knows it. Google photography is pretty good.
All right, I'll make a motion to recommend to approve an agreement for mapping, data collection, and visual inspection services with McCord Engineering Inc. in an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Second. Any discussion?
I mean, I see you have money for it, but was this a budgeted item?
No.
This is a situation where we over the years have just needed more tracking and watching more where our effects are and underground systems are, is that correct? This is just
That
updating,
is correct.
doing what we needed to do along the way.
It's where anybody could recognize the word utility, so rather than just me or two other individuals as familiar with us in the ground.
How complete will this make our deal?
I plan on making an underground portion to complete.
100%.
Yes.
On the underground.
Yes.
Let's see, on their scope of work, they're kind of guessing 1 or 2 weeks, or I can go 3.
I think they had, that may be the outdated agreement that they had sent over because Wayne had sent a second memo that
They
had.
were on the maps that I provided, and then after this, we have some discussion, so going over the stuff that is missing, that's not even have it added extra week. So hopefully we can bring it in below that number. So hopefully we're reasonable. We'll come in with state-of-the-art locator and methods of depth and everything.
Anyone else? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. And the next item up, 7.6, is for discussion only. Discussion and possible no action regarding the first reading of the ordinance amending the Lampasas Code of Ordinance regarding the zoning regulations pertaining to the smoke and tobacco shops.
Correct, Mayor and Council, this will be for discussion only tonight, as it will need to go to P and Z for their formal adoption prior to it coming to council for your formal adoption. So it will be on the P and Z agenda for August, but we wanted to give the council an opportunity to discuss what was laid out here in our ordinance based on feedback from the vape shop SUP conversations. I think primarily you'll see it doesn't limit the number of vape shops in town, as we really haven't found any ordinances that are worded that way, but it does restrict location. Monica, if you could scroll down a little bit, I'm sorry, I left my paper over there. 2,000 feet from churches, schools, other vape shops. Sorry. You're fine. specifically public or private schools from preschool to high school, public parks and playgrounds, daycare, or other facility dedicated to care, education, and entertainment of children, public libraries, churches, hospitals, medical clinics, or facilities, and doctor's offices, government buildings, city, county, or state, and other smoke and tobacco shops. It does grandfather existing buildings, but any new proposed vape shops would have to follow these distance requirements.
The only thing I would like to add to this would be to keep off key. That's the only thing. If I add anything to it, just nothing, no smoke for vape shops on Key Avenue at all.
Seems like the proximity may cover that, but I guess, yeah.
Just to keep that as a, sort of major activity.
2,000 feet, that's good business.
Okay, so we will take that, council concurs with that modification, we'll take that to P&Z for their consideration and approval and bring it back to you in August.
And this would be what grandfathering existing businesses.
Yes, ma'am. Section 4 says any smoke tobacco shop operating legally with a valid certificate of occupancy, a city business license, and that is not in breach of or arrears regarding any utilities, taxes, grants, or agreements, are allowed to continue operations at their current location. If they cease to exist for more than 180 consecutive days, they'll relinquish their SUP. Additionally, grandfather businesses, if they are sold to another individual, will not be allowed to transfer their SUP. So that new business owner would have to come back to P&Z for consideration. And so if they're violating any of those proximity questions, they would be approved for that.
I had a question on section 4, number 2. 180 days, it seems that is a long time to allow. I'm wondering if that could be reduced to 90 days, or something less than 180. That's 6 months, and if they're not going to be in business, they can sell it. In 90 days, they know they're not in business.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you over there, Commissioner. Yes, that time frame can be modified, and that was just what was drafted up with our attorney. I'm not sure if that was allowed. Remodeling or things of the nature, but it can certainly be reduced to the current. Did you have a target number?
I had a target of 90 days.
Thank you, guys.
And you also mentioned that you did go through this with the attorney, city attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
7.7, discussion of possible action regarding the first reading of an ordinance amending Lampasas Code of Ordinance regarding the request to rezone property described as part of Lot 67, Lot 7 East, Lampasas Edition, from commercial to single-family resident. 6, SF6, commonly known as 1112 East 4th Street, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is what went to the Planning and Zoning Commission and what we heard in the public hearing. I am here to answer any questions, as is Mr. Pickens on our side.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance amending the Lampasas Code of Ordinances regarding a request to rezone property described as part of lots 6 through 7, lot 7, East Lampasas Edition, commercial C, single residential family 6, SF6, commonly known as 1112 East 4th Street, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion of possible actions regarding the approval of investment strategy policy resolution.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an annual resolution that we do according to the Public Funds Investment Act. That we have to do this yearly, just to look over our investment strategy and get it approved by council.
I have a question. under, in this investment strategy, investment officer and investment advisor are mentioned. Who do we have appointed?
It's the city manager and myself.
Okay, thank you.
Under paragraph 2, there's H listed. I think it should be A through I, line B, rather than D, the E and the press funds, and just space in the E for both service funds. Just a paragraph, I guess. Resolution.
I'm sorry, can you?
Scope, paragraph 2.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, yeah, we'll just need to move that down and give it a separate letter. I can correct that one.
I'm making a motion to approve the city of Lampasas investment and strategy policy.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 7.9, discussion and possible action concerning the audit engagement letter for the city of Lampasas current fiscal year, which began October 1st, 2024, and will end September 30th, 2025.
Mayor and Council, again, this is will be for our audit for fiscal year ending 2025. Singleton Clark and Company have done this, have done our audit over the years, and they have agreed to do it again this next year. It does have an increase of $4,400. It will include a single audit this year because of the CARES money that we ended up spending. Back in December, we got all of that money's allocated out and spent. So we will have a single audit that will have to be done. That is a little bit extra work for them to look through that. So the total, this is $53,400.
Make a motion to approve engagement of Singleton Clark Company, PC, to perform fiscal year 2025 audit in the amount of $53,400.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Yes, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
And I'll get a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? The City Council of the City of Lampasas, Texas will meet in closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, which as follows. Section 551.071, consultation with an attorney to seek advice of an attorney about pending contemplation, litigation, settlement offer on any matter in which the duty of the attorney to the City Council under the Texas disciplinary rule of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Hajimoto Foods North America, Inc. Act. Section 551.074, personnel matters to deliberate, appoint, employment, evaluation, reassign duties, and discipline of a public officer, employee, city secretary, and other personnel matters as allowed by Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Section 551.074, personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline of a public officer or employee, city manager, and other personnel matters as allowed by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. And we will now adjourn into executive session and reconvene. All right, well, we'll get a motion to adjourn back into regular session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Got a couple of things coming out of, or one thing, mainly, coming out of executive session tonight, and,
I'll make a motion to appoint Kaylee Stanley as city secretary effective July 15th,
Anybody want to ask her any questions? And all in favor?
Aye.